Welcome, everybody. We are live. I hate selling live. This is the best hour of my day. It better be the best hour of your day. I've got Jason Ackerman here, author of The Best Hour of Their Day and host of the Best Hour of Their Day podcast. Guys, if you don't know this man, you should know him. If you're a CrossFit guy and you don't know this man, CrossFit guy or girl, you should know him. He can help you in big ways. We're going to dive right in to Jason's life and all of his stuff that he needs to tell us, really cool stuff, and how CrossFitters hate to sell. We're going to talk a little bit about that and about what the industry looks like right now. I've seen a lot of people that I've been working with personally. They thought they had the online thing under control. They thought Corona was going to dwindle back down, and all of a sudden, like a depression hits, and they don't know what to do. So we might dive into that a little bit for you guys and talk about what does it look like coming out of quarantine. What does it look like to keep momentum going? And what does sales look like right now for you? So if you're a business owner or a personal trainer, you need to hear this because we're going to turn it into the best hour of your day. Guys, if you haven't downloaded the I Hate Selling book, get it now. IHateSellingBook.com. IHateSellingBook.com. And it'll take you about an hour to read it. So that might be the best hour of your day. Have I hit that hard enough, Jason? Am I good? We're good to go.
That's a lot of hours. There's a lot of hours.
Hey, Jason, welcome to the show. I appreciate you being here, man. I was just recently on your podcast and we had a blast, so we thought we'd do it again.
Yeah, people loved it. People loved you. They hate selling, but they love Ryan.
Hey, I like that. I can't go wrong there. That's fun stuff. So before we get into the meat of this and your thoughts on the industry today and selling right now, maybe specifically in the CrossFit world, we need to know some really important stuff. This is like the reason people tune in. Jason Ackerman, what makes you weird, man? What's one thing that not many people know about that makes you weird?
I was going to say, it has to be just one of many things. I think when people meet me for the first time, their initial reaction is, wow, you are way shorter in real life than I imagined. So I tell people I'm 5'5". I recently found out I'm 5'2.5". I've shrunk over the years. And
all that CrossFit, man, it's bad for your joints. Don't you know that?
It's compressing my spine or something. But I think the weirdest part of that is I didn't even realize I was short. I just had this conversation with my wife. I was like, am I short? Like, do I come off as short? Did you think I was short? Because I grew up wrestling.
Why did you marry me?
yeah, like you could have gotten a normal sized person to marry you. But I grew up wrestling, and when you compete in a sport that aligns you with other people of your size, I think you don't realize it. Like you're a baseball player. And
I was always the short guy. I'm like, man, I'm the scrappy short guy. And I was 5'9", 5'8.5", whatever it was. I lied and said I was 5'10". So when I went on the big Jumbotron that we had in college, it said Ryan McKenzie, 5'10", 180. That was me lying. I was like 5'8", 170.
Well, I've heard people say like I'm short, I'm 5'7", I'm 5'8". I'm like, you're a giant. What are you talking about? Like, you're 5 inches taller than me. So I never realized I was short. Even, from wrestling to CrossFit, it's like it doesn't matter how big you are. Obviously, weight helps you move more weight, but being small has its advantages as well in gymnastic movement. So, yeah, so I think that's probably the weirdest thing. It's not that I'm small. It's that it took me 40 years to realize I was small.
Now Corona is the great equalizer because everything's on a Zoom call. So shoulders up, we're all the same box height here in this little square. So it's
and I angle it so it makes me look even taller. I got a new hat on, which I never wear a hat. Somebody gave it to me, so I'm just rocking it.
Top there, you're great. It's awesome. All right, so you're a little shorter and you didn't realize it. No big deal. It's better than me growing up, knowing I was short the whole time, wishing I was taller, so you probably were living a good life the whole way through. Yeah.
I don't know I wouldn't want to be taller. I think I'd be like, what, just time in the shower. You got to clean more, you got to duck for doorways. Like, I don't know. I think it's, I'm very pleased to be, I'll call myself 5'3". I'll round up. I'm pleased to be 5'3".
It's good. It's good. So next important question, what's your favorite unhealthy cereal? Now I know you don't eat anything unhealthy ever probably, but if you had to pick one cereal that you're only allowed to eat for the rest of your life and it had to be unhealthy, what would you pick?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Cinnamon Toast Crunch has got, if anybody else has been on your show and answered otherwise, they're wrong. Yeah. Is that yours?
Yeah, you want to go. Like something in me wants to go Lucky Charms,
Close
but
second.
you bite the marshmallows too soon before the milk gets to them, and it's like this like chalkboard feeling. You're like, and everything. I feel it right now, like that. Anyway,
Well,
this is
and not to mention, 50% of Lucky Charms is the best cereal
right.
because the marshmallows are what everybody thinks of. They don't think about like the Cheerio piece with it. But 100% of Cinnamon Toast Crunch is delicious.
Right. Agreed.
And I don't want to be friends with anyone that doesn't agree with that.
With all the division going on, that's where we're drawing the line today. It's Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Republican, liberal, mask, no mask, doesn't matter.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch is the line right now.
That's it. You can kick my dog, but if you give me a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, I'm good.
I'm gonna go buy some Cinnamon Toast Crunch right now. I need it. I need it in my life, man. This is good. All right, let's get into the real reason we're here. First, tell people a little bit about yourself and what you do with CrossFit gyms, and just about the book and the podcast. Bring everybody up to speed real quick for us.
Yeah, so I've been involved in CrossFit for about 15 years now. I was one of the early adopters, if you will. I found it because I compete in jiu-jitsu. I told you I wrestled, and then that kind of transformed over the years to jiu-jitsu once I was out of college. And I was just always looking for ways to improve that conditioning for being on the mats, and found CrossFit, really never looked back. And over the 15 years, I've owned 3 affiliates. I've sold 3 affiliates. So I've opened and closed 3. I've helped run the CrossFit Games, and I've been a part of the CrossFit seminar staff, which is the group of people that travel the world educating new trainers.
Wow.
So if someone gets their level 1, they go to their level 1 certificate course, and I'm one of the guys there, wearing a red shirt and teaching for the weekend.
That's cool. That's cool, man. So you were in CrossFit before it was CrossFit. You were like, this is before CrossFit was even cool, before CrossFit was even bad, and then got cool again, then got really bad like a month or 2 ago. Now it's better again, right? You were before all the waves.
It was before anyone knew anything about it to call it bad. It was like Fight Club, right? Yeah. So it was like, first rule, don't talk about it. Then eventually people started talking about it, and it was bad. Right. So yeah, and I've rode the waves, and it goes both ways, right? Like back in the day in CrossFit, if someone was like, "Hey, Ryan wants to talk to you," and by the way, he's involved in Globo gyms, I'd be like, "He's stupid." He does Globo gym stuff, even though that's my childhood was all in Globo gyms. Right. So or yoga or Zumba, or where nowadays you come out of it and you're like, hey, people are moving. Awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really good. I love it, man. So what led you from there, owning CrossFit gyms, selling CrossFit gyms? Now here, tough question. I don't know the answer to this, so maybe this is a bad question. Did you sell them for more than you bought them for?
Well, I opened them myself. So yeah, I had, so I have had the biggest financial CrossFit sale in the history. So I had a very big sale in 2014. My other 2 were more like, this is what the gym is worth. But my first one was enough to be like, cool, now you can chill out a little bit, which is why I ultimately moved from New York to Florida and then ultimately Colorado. But yeah, I got pretty lucky with it.
That's awesome, man. So when you sold those, were you already into the best hour of their day, or what was going on there? Like, how did you get into that podcast, into that book? Talk to me about that.
So it originally started with the book. I had my 3 gyms, and I was, just on social media, you kind of put up a picture and you kind of write almost like a blog post, right? Like on Instagram these days. And I was doing that more and more. And I was like, I really want to expand on those, 600 characters or whatever you're allowed on Instagram. Yeah. And I just started writing longer chapters, which, became a book. Before they were chapters, they were just thoughts, So they were 30 lessons that I learned from owning a box, from judging at the CrossFit Games, from being on seminar staff. And, I put them all in one book. Like you, probably edited it one too many times because you can over edit anything.
I don't know. I went back to my book a couple months ago, and I realized I didn't edit it enough. There's a couple misspelled words in there. So
yeah, But people
If
send them
you have
to
a
you,
perfect
right?
book, it means you waited too long. You know, I think that's the key.
I always tell people like George Lucas is still editing Star Wars
It's
like
true.
50 years later. So,
True.
at some point you just have to be like, pen down, I'm done. But,
Yeah, you got to get there. Yeah.
the idea of best hour of their day was, I think it just was a term and a phrase that a lot of CrossFit coaches use. And I just happened to coin and buy the URL and put it on the title of my book. But it's really no different than what you were doing when you were training people, or even when you're teaching people how to sell. This is the best hour of their day, and for a lot of people it's their workout, for other people it's their time with you learning, and for other people it's time with their significant other. But my
Awesome.
goal was always, hey, if you're with me and we're working out, I want this to be the best hour of your day.
That's cool. That's cool. So if you guys want that book, I highly recommend it. Get on there. Amazon has got it all over the place. You can go to his website and find the podcast, Best Hour of Their Day. Any podcast platform, Best Hour of Their Day. Now, is that THERE, apostrophe RE, or THEIR there?
Technically it's THEIR. It's yours, it's theirs, it's
Yeah.
possessive, right? Is that the right way?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Yeah, I was just testing you. I knew what it was. I knew. My mom was a math teacher, so I know things.
It's
Yeah.
it is one of those things that I see and I'm like, oh, it's cringy when someone does it the wrong way, which I still do once in a while. But this is possessive. It's the best hour of their day.
Their day. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, so grab the book on Amazon. Get it right now, guys. Worst thing that could happen is you've got a book at your house that you know you're going to read eventually for the price of a book that's going to give you some gold from a man who's bought and sold some gems and built up some gyms and has done some really big experience. So if you're doing any CrossFit at all, you need that thing right now. If you don't, why not? It's cheap knowledge, inexpensive, valuable knowledge, I should say. All right, let's move on to for our CrossFitters out here. I see a lot of CrossFit coaches. Right? I've worked with a few gyms that have CrossFit coaches, and the owners say, my guys just hate to sell. Why do CrossFit coaches hate to sell? What is going on there? Why is that talk to me here. Have you
Well,
seen that in your gyms? Have you seen that in your gyms?
oh, I've seen it in my gyms, and I was the guy too. I mean, and to some extent, I still don't enjoy it. I think part of it is it's like semantics. It's the term selling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it might have even been when we were talking on my show. It's like we're like teaching, like we're selling when someone's like, "What's that movement?" Hey, it's a thruster, and this is why a thruster is so great. You're squatting below parallel. You're taking it overhead. It's what you do with your, when you're putting something away in the pantry, etc. But then
Right.
when it's like, hey, by the way, you need to give me money, it's weird.
Everything flips on its head, right?
I think, well, people think they're at odds.
Mm-hmm.
Like education and selling should go hand in hand, not I'm either good at one or bad at the other. And so many people, especially in the CrossFit world, I think they feel guilty for being successful. I'm sure you've heard it in the training world as well. It's like, well, you'll never get rich doing that. And I always like to tell people, well, I got pretty rich doing it. So maybe I'm the only one on the planet, but I know
You're a horrible person. You cinnamon toast crunch loving horrible man.
Hey, I'll take it but I have plenty of other friends that have done really well, and maybe they haven't sold the gym, but they sell clients every day. They get one-on-one clients. They sell programming. In other worlds, you will pay for coaching.
Yeah.
People pay their financial planners thousands of dollars. They pay other. I had a guy come over from Home Depot and teach me how to do some woodwork, and it's like, I want to pay you. Like, it's worth it to me. You're teaching me something.
Yeah.
And for some reason in the fitness world, it becomes, like something we should feel guilty about.
That's a good point, man. I think you're spot on when you talk about semantics and how you go from you constantly selling why they should do the technique your way, or what they need to change, or why they should come X number of days, or do CrossFit instead of something else. Like if you're sold on CrossFit yourself, you're selling it to other people, whether you're asking for money or not. Like, you believe in it. You want other people to do it. That's sales. I love that approach where you just realize, okay, money is just what makes it weird for me. So did you, when you had your trainers, I want to get like maybe some details of what a gym looks like. Were you paying them by the hour? Were you paying them per sale? Were you paying them per class, number of people in the class? How'd that set up for you? Was it different at each of your locations?
It wasn't different at each location, but it was different over time.
Okay.
So early days of CrossFit, there was a lot of just bartering. Hey, you'll coach 2 classes a week and you'll get a free membership. And then slowly over time, it turned into a real business. So I had about 4 or 5 full-time staff that were there all day. They were the people that someone would walk in and purchase a membership from, or they were the ones coaching the classes as well. And then we had a handful of trainers that were paid to coach specific classes. But in addition to that, they can all do one-on-one work with clients, and that would be your standard sign people up. And I was, in my opinion, pretty generous about it, usually 50-50, which, considering, the standard gym where you might get like 15-20% of a sale, I thought that was pretty generous.
Yeah, that's great. So when they're going into that, you're basically looking for salespeople. If that's your deal, then as you move to that, are you looking for trainers? Are you looking for salespeople? Are you looking for personality and you'll teach them? Are you looking for trainers and you'll give them the system? How did that work for you with your gyms?
Yeah, they were all trainers first, and then we would educate them on sales. But that, again, that I'm still not proficient like you are at it. I was learning as I went, but really the base of it was changing the mindset of like feeling guilty first. Like you shouldn't feel guilty. And for a lot of them, this is how you're going to make money. This is how you're going to put food on your table. So you have to get more comfortable selling, or else you're going to be living on the streets.
Yeah. So let's talk about this a little bit now with what's going on in the world today, because two big things have affected CrossFit really negatively, I feel like. And I think there's solutions, but I want to hear your thoughts. One, you have the head of CrossFit, or the figurehead of CrossFit, or whoever that was, putting out some stuff that people didn't like, right? Regardless of what you think about that hurt the brand, right? And then at the same time, or before that, you got Corona and everything basically being forced to move online for most people. Now with a gym that is all about the brand, right? Like with a CrossFit, like it feels like you're in a club. It is the brand that matters more than anything, right? And then it is also the community, like being there with people, like yelling and like being excited for each other. Like that is what CrossFit is like brought out in this industry. I think more than anything else has been like to show that this can be a community where you actually enjoy working out together. That if I have a larger group, I don't need to worry that they're going to be bored while there are other guys squatting, because I can bring a community together and show them they can cheer each other on, and their rest is actually encouraging somebody else. That's cool to me. And that's something that early on when I saw in CrossFit that we tried to bring into our gyms, rather than, I didn't at first agree with everything that was going on, and I just didn't understand a lot of it. I'm still not a CrossFit like gung-ho guy, but I love, from the get-go, I've loved that aspect of it. How have you seen, I know you work with a lot of CrossFit gyms now, is what I'm asking you. How have you seen that affect CrossFit gyms, with the brand maybe being diminished a little bit from the top down, and then from the outside in, like you can't meet together anymore as much? How does that work now?
Yeah, it was really a rough few months for anyone involved in CrossFit. Obviously the world dealt with the pandemic, but then CrossFit kind of got, the double whammy when it was the founder, and owner at the time, 100% owner of the brand, was accused of racism, was accused of, harassment type stuff, and overall just not being a great human being. And as someone that knows him on a personal level, it's not all true, but perception is reality, and
Sure.
he created a lot of that himself, so he'll deal with that. But that was tough. And I think, like you're saying, and maybe for a lot of the listeners that have heard of CrossFit, they might not have even known about all of that stuff. So I think there was this small group of gung-ho CrossFitters at every gym that heard about it. And depending on where the gym was located and the demographic of the gym, it impacted them worse. I mean, you don't want to show up and have the figurehead of CrossFit putting out tweets that were, deemed racist. If
Right.
if you have a large demographic of different people,
Yeah.
size, gender, color, I mean, it wasn't a good look for CrossFit. So it was really tough, and a lot of affiliates abandoned ship because of it. And it was really something they had to really think hard and decide upon. Once CrossFit the brand was sold and they moved forward, we saw a lot of people come back on board and support them, or support CrossFit, I should say. And I
Yeah.
think we've kind of navigated that, but it was definitely tough. It's weird because it is a brand. It'd be like, to give any, it's like, hey, the founder of Starbucks said something racist, and it's like, that doesn't mean the owner of your local Starbucks is racist,
Right.
but you still don't feel right supporting them,
Yeah. 100%.
right? So it was kind of like that. Each CrossFit is in and of itself different, but it was just this really bad underlying stigma. So we kind of navigated that, and then with COVID and with closing, it really got challenging. I think now that most states are coming out of it and opening back up, we're seeing the people flock back to the gym because, like you were saying, the beauty of CrossFit is that community. And as someone that has a garage gym, I'll be going to my box in an hour because it's just hard to get motivated
Yeah.
sometimes. And I feed off of that energy, even if it's 6 feet apart. I want to be safe. My wife's pregnant. We're being smart,
Right.
but we're seeing a lot of people that are like, okay, I need to get back to this community. I need to get back to the motivation and to the energy at the box.
Yeah. That's big. And a lot of CrossFitters just have been wearing masks before anyone else anyway, right? They had the big just training mask and
Oh,
everything.
that thing is silly. Yeah, I'm like, if you're wearing a training mask, that should be because you're so fit, you can't possibly push yourself hard enough. No one, very few people need to be
I,
wearing that mask.
I was kidding. I don't know if CrossFitters do that or not. I was just taking
Oh
it.
yeah, they do. They're CrossFitters. If there's a dumb trend out there, CrossFitters are doing it.
I think, well, to be fair, I think that's true about almost any gym. You see guys everywhere doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So I love the compound movements of CrossFit, and I love the camaraderie and just the community of it is just huge. It's huge. I think you can't find, if you find it somewhere else, it's because people stole it from CrossFit in a good way. Like they found out, hey, wow, that's something we didn't realize we could do. We need to emulate that. That's a really awesome thing that CrossFitters have brought to the industry. It's really great.
I think CrossFit brought two really important things to fitness. One, the idea for most people that you actually can and should work hard.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you probably went through it as a collegiate athlete, but for your average new person to fitness, like your 40-year-old woman that finds fitness for the first time, they don't realize like, hey, you should be grunting, you should be sweating, you should be working hard, and that's okay. And I think, because that's where like the TRXs came from. That's where Orange Theories and Barry's Boot Camp, I think those all kind of sprouted from this idea that pushing yourself is good. And then the big thing I think is community. I think, even at Globo gyms, if you will, like they're doing boot camp classes now and HIIT classes, and realizing the spirit of fitness is all in that community, whether it's
they're trying to be a box within a Globo gym, right? They're trying to be a boutique yoga studio within a Globo gym. They're trying to be a personal training group within a Globo gym. They're realizing, and I've seen this more and more, that they can't compete with a box or a boutique or whatever that is. I guess whatever small training studio you've got, you're just a number, like 27355 member number, and they've got 3,000 members, or 4,000 members. And it's very hard to compete on a personal level when you've got 7 Ryan McKenzie's in your gym, or whatever it would be.
Well,
which Jason are you talking about? We've got 40 of them, like.
And I think if the pandemic taught us anything, it's like, hey, I can buy a couple dumbbells, a kettlebell, maybe a barbell, and for the cost of 4 months of gym membership, maybe longer, I could do it at home for the rest of my life. But this is boring, and until you show me that, hey, this is going to be more motivating. This is going to be accountable. I can make some friends. I
Yeah.
mean, over the course of owning affiliates, I would say 20 people got married, 20 couples, that is,
Wow.
so you're building that community. As I've recently moved to a new area, and all of my friends are people from the box. That's what's the beauty of CrossFit.
That's awesome. Um, and to your point there, the Globo gym feel, the big box gyms, you basically have your own barbell, dumbbell, kettlebell, whatever, and you're on your own. So it's, unless you've got a plan, it's kind of boring. Unless you've gotten into one of their classes, unless you have a trainer, it's kind of boring. So why not just be bored at my house? I don't have to drive or pay a membership. Like, and I think people are going back quicker to places where they had community, rather than or connection with somebody individually, rather than the big gym where there's a different person at the front desk every day. Some high school, college kid scanning my badge, and now I'm working out on the same treadmill I always do, because treadmill number 14 is mine, and that's the one I do.
Yeah, and you're doing the same 30-minute routine,
Yeah.
and that's what's cool too. I'm going to show up, and whether or not I want to do whatever movement is programmed, I'm going to do it, and that's, otherwise I would do the same thing every day.
Yeah. So what do you see moving forward here as things open back up? Like, are CrossFit gyms going online? Are they moving to hybrid models? Like, what is your recommendation, and what are you seeing happen, and what do you wish would happen in this industry?
I see a lot of people and a lot of box owners almost losing traction because they're trying to do both, and they're doing neither
Mm,
well. I think if you own a box and you plan on staying open after, especially, as we make our way out of this, you need to focus entirely on your box.
mm,
And, there's so many companies out there that are doing it better than they can do virtually, whether it's Peloton or, Mirror or a handful of other companies. Like let them do that and focus on your community, because I think as we come out of this, more people are going to start doing fitness at home, but they will ultimately realize what we're talking about. Like, this is either boring, or I need to get coached, or I want to meet other people. So they may start at home. And I know CrossFit is going to make a big push in that direction, but it'll trickle down, so someone that finds CrossFit for the first time, and the first time they hit a workout that says clean and jerk, and they're like, what is that? That might be an eye opener. Okay, I need to go learn that. I need to go find someone that excels at this, is a very good coach, and learn. And maybe then they either become a client for a one-on-one coach, or they join a gym. And
yeah.
then they can either do both now, but eventually they'll need to learn how to CrossFit, because it is, for a lot of people, it's different than what they grew up on.
So here's a question I've got about CrossFit that has baffled me through the years. I see a lot of CrossFit coaches that show up, teach their class, hang out, work out, teach the next class at, 6, 7, 7:45, 9, 12, 1, 4, whatever, the regular times of workouts. And a lot of them I've seen don't take on one-on-one clients. I don't know that they don't want to. I feel like maybe they don't know how to, or they don't know how to convert them. Is that a no-no in the CrossFit world, where you don't try to get one-on-one clients in your gym and we're just going to run these classes? Or do you think that's more of trainers that just know how to show up, teach the workouts really well, and don't know how to pull people from those classes into one-on-one trainings? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I think it's what your book is all about. It's they are fearful of selling and don't know how to sell.
Hmm.
And there's this, the misconception in the CrossFit world as well. It's, it really started as glorified individual training. It was like, hey, I've got two clients doing similar things. Why don't I take them into 1 hour? And then it became, let's add a third, a fourth. But it was always this idea of like, hey, it's cheaper personal training
Hmm.
because you're with other people. But you forget, like, even then, they still want to do better. You and I can be in the same class, and you might be really great at, squatting and stronger than me, but I might be much better at pull-ups. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
probably need a one-on-one lesson on squatting, and you probably need a one-on-one lesson on pull-ups.
Sure.
And we have this idea, well, it's like, you're paying for this training already. Cool. Well, they want to do better. And I
Yeah.
think, and you're the expert on it, but I think for a lot of trainers, especially, they don't want to sell because they think it's too expensive for them. and you project like, well, I couldn't afford $100 an hour or 75 or 200, so this guy won't. But they
Yeah,
want to, and you're kind of doing them a disservice by not giving them that.
yeah,
Like, I know this will make you better, but I don't want to ask you for money for it. So you're just going to continue to be terrible at this movement, right? That's really
you
what it
can't give
is.
them what they really need in that time that they're in there for the gym. So we've got to start pulling people out of the large class. I think if you have a CrossFit gym, the one knock anyone's got on you is that how is everyone going to be great at these movements? How are we going to stop injury from happening? And no matter how good you are as a coach, if you have a successful gym, not just 2 or 3 people coming to each class, but you got a large group coming.
16, 20, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
you
huge
can't be good
classes.
enough, and you can't put enough coaches in to actually correct their movement patterns. You can give them correctives. You can hope they do them. You can say, "Hey, I noticed this was bad. Try this when you get home." You can send out videos, but the most successful gyms with the lowest injury rate are going to find a way to get really specific with personal training on top of, in addition to, as a substitute for the CrossFit classes. So I think that's where your gym can make a ton of money, and 2 can find the best results for their clients because they're not going to find injury as often. They're not going to fall into bad patterns, and they're going to actually see success. Like you said, they're going to get better at the thing that they're there to do, and they're not going to feel insecure about it. And then they get home, they're not going to be going home just broken and hurt because you just pushed them through anyway, because that's the workout for the day. You got to find a way to work both ends of that. And that's going to be huge. I think those gyms that do that are going to have a really successful run coming out of all this.
And that's why you're already seeing that. The better CrossFit gyms are, the coaches are better to begin with, and then they have some sort of one-on-one and it's not like these people have to train with you 5 times a week because they're already coming to group class. But if every one of your members at a CrossFit box supplemented with one-on-one session a week, because that's not where you're going for intensity. That's where we're going for knowledge and developing better movement patterns. Like you said, that's going to carry over to the rest of the week. They're going to stay, they're less prone to injury.
Yeah.
They're going to enjoy it more because they're going to get better. I mean, it's hard. You're right. Like, think about most group classes when it took off in probably like the 70s, they were aerobics where you're not moving heavy load, or then maybe it became spin where it's like, we're all on a bike. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not at risk of doing something that crazy on this bike.
And I've had trainers sell one-on-one spin sessions and sell one-on-one aerobic classes because of people were concerned, or they wanted to get the most out of it, or they needed individual attention. So that's not too far-fetched. And if they're able to do that, how much more could you do with something as complex as CrossFit? I think that's a really great point. To your point, that's going to be helpful for a lot of gyms. If they can do that, they're going to have much better personal attention to people. They're going to feel special, and they're going to grow their revenue as well. So it's big. All right. Quick question for you as we wrap this up here, and then I'll let you kind of tell us anything you want. As you're growing your gyms and as you're helping CrossFit gyms now, this is the question I get asked a lot. And usually it's by people who have done it the wrong way and feel like they don't have time to change everything and do it the right way. But I'll ask you anyway, what's been the most successful marketing tool for CrossFit gyms? Like, how do you get people in the door?
You get asked this question a lot, especially when I've had a gym that had over 500 members, where the average CrossFit box probably is 50. And it's the easy answer, but it's also the hard answer. The truth of the matter is, you have to just be consistently chasing excellence at your box and get word of mouth. I mean, there's no marketing that's better than your buddy telling you to come in.
Yeah.
That's really the best marketing. Now, with that being said, I ran the gamut of marketing. I had radio ads, I had television ads, I had Facebook. I mean, it's hard. I mean, yeah, get a good Facebook marketer, put some social, but you could do a lot of that for free. Give your clients the best possible experience they can get, and they're going to tell their friends. And those are the people, as you know, that show up and they're like, "Hey, I'm ready to join." You don't even have to sell them. They're ready. They're coming in looking to give you money. Outside of that, I would say, if you own a box or any gym, use social media, put up posts and tag people and show them having fun. Don't put up your one dude that can snatch 300 pounds that's going to intimidate grandma from, show your people that are like, "Hey, I lost 20 pounds," or "I'm snatching 115 and this is a PR where it doesn't look, because the average person looking at social media, they don't understand what bumper plates are. It just looks like 45-pound plates where really they're all tens, like, so make sure what you're putting out there doesn't look intimidating and it looks like anyone can do this. Because that's probably the biggest stigma of CrossFit is like, I can't do it. I've seen the games and those guys are freaks. They are. But you know what? Every sport, that's like saying I can't put my son in Little League because he's no, I don't even watch enough baseball anymore. He's no Lenny
Mike Trout,
Dykstra.
he doesn't look like Mike Trout. You can't. How's he ever going to play Little League baseball?
Yeah, I was gonna go with like a Keith Hernandez or a Darryl Strawberry because I'm an '86 Mets fan. But yeah. Well, yeah, they got a little off the rails. We don't have to dive into that. But
yeah, they've been off the rails for a while.
but point, and I tell the people it's the same thing. I love UFC. I watch almost every event. I train jiu-jitsu. I do not want to step in the octagon, but I understand
I'm
that
not John Jones. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I don't want to fight John Jones. I don't even want to fight the lightest woman on the roster, to be quite honest. But I still enjoy jiu-jitsu very much. And it's the same thing here. Like, you can, just because people are doing it at these incredible levels doesn't mean you can. We're all, one of Coach Glassman's famous quotes is, intensity differs by degree, not by kind, right? We all need intensity, but it's relative to that person. My intensity is going to be this, my grandma's is going to be that, and Matt Frazier's is going to be higher than anyone's, right? But we all need to do it.
I love that, man. That's good. We're going to wrap this thing up here. Before we do you celebrate Bobby Bonilla Day every year?
I know it recently passed, but I mean, as a Mets fan, I understand what it is, but good for that guy. Good for him.
So, funny story. Everybody now I've lost everyone that's here for fitness and CrossFit advice. Bobby Bonilla is an old baseball player. The Mets pay him like $1 million a year for like a 5-year contract from like 1995. He's been getting $1 million a year till 2030, I think. Anyway, they did that deal and they freed up enough money to sign 2 or 3 key players for the World Series championship they got a couple of years later in the early 2000s, I think, or late mid 2000s, whenever that was. David Wright and somebody else. I think they got David Wright and somebody else because of that Bobby Bonilla deal. So it looks really bad, but it freed up money to get the World Championship team on the table. So it's anyway.
And every year you hear
nerding out about Bobby Bonilla Day. Yeah,
exactly. But no, I mean, 86 was probably the last year I watched many. I watched maybe in 88 when they lost to the Dodgers in the playoffs. But once one of my very first memories is my pediatrician, would be like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And going back to my answer, I was like, I want to be a baseball or soccer player. He's like, you might want to stick to soccer because you're going to be, 5 feet tall. But even then it didn't make sense. I realized all my friends I was lead off.
Yeah.
Because I would get walked all the time. But then it got to the point that the pitchers got good enough that they could strike me out. And I was like, all right, Mom, I need to, put me in wrestling.
I love it. Hey, any last thoughts on CrossFit? What should people do if they want to reach out to you, if they need your help with their CrossFit gym?
Hey, if they want to reach out to me, probably the best one is if you Google best hour of their day and my name, Jason Ackerman, I'm sure it'll come up. And in social media, I am the Jason Ackerman, not because I'm pretentious, only because the other Jason Ackerman took my name first. I think he's a good tattoo artist. So if you want a tattoo, look him up. If you want to learn about fitness, look me up. But then, yeah, if you do CrossFit and you want to learn more, check me out. And if you're never done CrossFit, I would just tell you there's no right or wrong fitness program. Whatever gets you off your couch is what you should be doing, but don't let CrossFit scare you. That's what I would tell you. Like, find the right, there's good CrossFit gyms and there's bad ones. If you've had a bad experience, maybe check out the one down the road. Just like McDonald's, right? You can get a really bad Big Mac and you can get a really good Big Mac.
Some people might disagree. They might think they're all bad, but
or they're all good.
Or they're all good. Yeah, but same thing holds true with anything else. There's great yoga studios and there's horrible ones where the lady's going to come by and crank you down to the ground and pull your leg back and tell you this is the position you have to be in. Like, well, maybe I can't quite get there. I think every sports performance coach, yoga coach, cyclist coach, whatever, Group X coach, there's good and there's bad. So I think CrossFit does get a bad rap in that because there's some excellent CrossFit coaches that I've come across and some really great gyms, and there's some bad ones too. But Guys, this has been good. I love having you on here, Jason. Thanks, man. And guys, check out his book, The Best Hour of Their Day. Get on that. Make it happen. The Jason Ackerman, not because he's pretentious, only a little bit pretentious, but
Moderately pretentious.
moderately pretentious. Guys, train smart, live well. We'll see you.